Otherwise, some of us might go to jail. So with that, I'd like to call the February meeting of the Central Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Ms. Barrientos, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Del Brazil. Present. Victor Garza. John Massico. James Mulkey.
Present.
Monique Presses.
Here.
Steve Bryant.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to agenda item 2, prayer and the pledge. Mr. Toscano, please.
So, Mr. President, we're always very excited to have our students from St. Clair Elementary, along with their principal and supporting staff. Ms. Williams?
What you're working on?
Hi.
Oh, good. Your camera's bigger than mine. I gotta be better.
Hello again. I am always glad to present the best of the best from Sinclair. And today I have with me 2 students that are going to help us with the pledge and the prayer. First of all, I have Jesus Alvarez and Miracle Scott. And both of these students are very active in 3rd grade at Sinclair. They are in the GT program on the morning show. They have been selected as Superintendent Student of the Month, and they also do a very good job being role models for the rest of the students in their classrooms. So they are going to help me today to present our prayer and our pledge.
Please stand and bow your heads in prayer. Father, we come today to thank you for all the blessings we have been blessed with parents, teachers, administrators, and board members that love us and take care of us in many different ways. We have been blessed to receive a quality education and clean, wonderful schools with the best of resources. We pray today that you will give us a clear mind, a caring heart, and a courageous commitment to make this an exceptional year for all of us at the East Central School District. We pray that you will guide us, keep us, and continue to bless us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and respect the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated.
As always, at Sinclair, we take what the children do from day to day and how they go about their everyday lives very seriously. And so tonight, these guys are going to help me as we present what children do as they live what they learn. If a child lives with criticism,
He learns to condemn.
if a child lives with hostility,
He learns to fight.
if a child lives with fear,
He learns to be apprehensive.
if a child lives with pity,
He learns to feel sorry for himself.
if a child lives with ridicule,
He learns to be shy.
and if a child lives with jealousy,
He learns what he is.
if a child lives with shame,
He learns to feel guilty.
and if a child lives with encouragement,
He learns to be confident.
if a child learns to live with tolerance,
He learns to be patient.
if a child lives with praise,
He learns to be appreciative.
and if a child lives with acceptance,
He learns to love.
if a child lives with approval,
He learns to like himself.
if a child lives with recognition,
He learns that it is good to have a goal.
if a child lives with sharing,
He learns about generosity.
if a child lives with honesty and fairness,
He learns what truth and justice are.
if a child lives with security,
He learns to have
if a child lives with friendliness.
He learns that the world is a nice place in which to live.
And finally, if a child has hope, he learns that this world is full of opportunities that help him to succeed. And with that said, I'd like to present some members of our third grade choir under the direction of Mrs. Lisa Renner, and they are going to tell you what opportunity is all about. And we want to say thank you to our board members for giving us the opportunity to have such a wonderful time here at East Central ISD. Thank you so much. Say hi, guys. Alyssa Tovar, Kiera Caton, Miracle Scott, Jamora Evans, Mia Rackley, Anessa Cavender, Leo Delatorre, Daniel Ganalda, Raylene Pacina, Eliana Medina. Parents, thank you so much for sharing them with us tonight. They have great opportunities that you have given them, that the school board has worked to give them, that all of our teachers and everybody else works to give opportunities for our kids. So would you please stand, parents, and so we can recognize you for the opportunities that you give all our kids. Thank you so much. Board members, we want to say thank you with the small gift, and in it you see $100,000 bar, but we think you're worth much more than that, and we know that you will do your best in passing this bond issue and getting everything going so that we can look like $100,000. That's clear. Thank you very much, and thank you all very much.
We're going to have some awards now, and so if we could ask everybody to just kind of stay in place for a minute while we do some awards, and then I promise you as soon as the awards are done, we'll take a recess and let those of you who need to go home and do homework or do other things get out of here. But before we get away from this, now I must tell you that this is one of my favorite parts of the meeting. We get to see our kids doing some wonderful things. And so, to Ms. Williams, I will tell you that a lot of people talk about opportunities, and a lot of people talk about luck. We hear a lot of times somebody say, well, I wish I had that person's luck. And I will tell you that I believe that luck is the intersection of opportunity and preparedness. And we provide opportunities for children, and you're preparing them to accept those opportunities. So congratulations to you and your staff, and this wonderful group of kids that you've brought to us this evening, and to their parents for doing the right thing. So, with that, some awards, please, sir.
Yes, sir, trustees. We'd like to start first by introducing Gary Clark. Gary Clark is a representative from a partner of ours from Synergistic. And if you'll recall, we've been for several years working on energy conservation in our district. And so he's here today to, along with Julio Alonso, our energy specialist, we come up, Julio, to recognize the district for the fruits of that labor.
Mr. Scott, thank you. Mr. Bryant, members of the board, members of the audience. It's a privilege to be here tonight, and it's very difficult to follow what I just followed. So anyway, that was fantastic. A few years ago, eCentral partnered with Synergistic to help reduce energy costs. And from the start, we've had one of the best energy specialists in the country, Julio Alonso, at the helm. He's what I call the quarterback of the program. He gets up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, does the building audit. You're still doing all that, right? And he's out there in the building just odd hours, weekends, holidays, and this program has been phenomenally successful. And I just want to give a special thanks to Mr. Selby, his team, all the principals and staff, custodial staff, teachers, food service, everyone in the district has been a part of this to make it work. The reason I'm here tonight in particular is you surpassed an incredible milestone with energy conservation. And you can see this check that we've actually saved over $1.1 million since the program began. So give yourselves a big hand. Present this plaque. This is from Dr. Bill Spears, our founder, and just for recognizing the school board for your vision to partner with us, the incredible support of the superintendent and administrative team, and all the efforts of all the employees of the district. You have demonstrated not only environmental stewardship but fiscal stewardship for your taxpayers, and you save money that can be used on kids instead of paying utility bills. So let me read this plaque and I'll present it to you. Synergistic, the energy conservation company, for conserving our nation's precious resources through the exceptional implementation of Synergistic's energy management program and serving as a model of energy conservation to fellow educational organizations. East Central Independent School District is hereby presenting the Energy Excellence Award for excellence in environmental and financial resource stewardship. Signed, Leo S. Pierce, Chairman and Founder, Synergistic. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gary, for that. I have some additional statements I would like to share with you. First of all, good evening, Mr. Descano, Mr. Ryan, and board members. In addition to the $1 million in cost avoidance, I have other statements that I would like to share with you. The district has received over $70,000 in rebates for, $70,000 in rebates for demand response. This is for curtailing energy or electricity during the months of high months of July, August of 14 and 15. In addition to this, we've also received $875 in rebates for retrofitting the lights here at the central office, parking lights, and hardening from a high metal halide, which is a higher usage, to an LED, which is much more cost efficient. I have also recovered $9,400 in credits from CPS and solving challenges on bills for old excavations, misread bills, and meters that we no longer have in the district. So, and we have also seen approximately $35,000 in savings from CPS in electricity and gas this year, and we'll see this each year going forward from Highland Forest, Oakcrest, Heritage, Pecan Valley, Sinclair, and the Learning Academy. And the reason for this is because we were able to keep the usage down for over a year, so I was able to change from a higher cost meter to a lower cost meter, lower type meter, which is cheaper to have, and that's kind of statements we're going to see each year going forward. So all combined, the district has received over $115,000 in rebate savings credits from CPS and SAWS, in addition to the $1.1 million we have saved and cost avoidance. So all mentioned, it's important that you know that. This is a direct reflection with the teamwork here at East Central, and also the cooperative efforts of every school, every department, at every level. So this is why the energy program has been successful and will be sustained. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening. Next, we've got some employee recognition awards. So at this time, we would like to bring forward Ms. Mary Hirholzer, who is being recognized for personal accountability, one of our district values, and she was nominated by the East Central administrative team. Mary Hirholzer is the lead of the East Central High School Fine Arts Department and the district lead for visual arts. Mary seeks opportunities to promote our young artists in East Central ISD. She organizes local, regional, and state art events and serves on the board of directors for the Texas Art Educators Association for the State Visual Arts Scholastic event. When faculty members are seeking ways to display student artwork, Mary makes it happen. For example, recently, our Writers Guild joined with our library and art department to display student works that featured banned books in our history. In a very short time, Mary recruited artists, gave them a deadline, and then had the work displayed in time for a fall poetry slam. Mary sees how fine arts and core classes are a natural fit, and because of this, she is well respected by the faculty. She is certainly a closer when it comes to making art events happen. In addition to that, she and a former student are the ones who are doing the mural in the superintendent's conference room. It has every campus's logo and the district logo in the center, and it's coming out beautifully. It's a work in progress, and we're very grateful to her for assisting us in making that happen. So if everyone will please give Ms. Hirtle a applause. And next, if Ms. Margaret Zotz, our new superintendent secretary, would come forward. Prior to leaving the high school, she was nominated by the high school admin team and Ms. Suzette Areola for customer service. And no one fashions customer service like Margaret Zotz. That's why she ended up the superintendent secretary. In fact, seeing the Queen Bee, Ms. Zotz, in action at East Central High School is to understand that customer service is job one. During the daily barrage of student anxiety, administrative requests, teacher availability issues, and parental concerns that her day brings, this multitasking professional navigates it all with style and grace. She never appears to be overwhelmed and can always be found building enduring relationships between the district and the community as she roams game day sidelines, cheering on her student athletes in her seemingly endless supply of hornet rhinestone encrusted spirit gear. Ms. Zotz, we thank you for your commitment and dedication to East Central. You truly exemplify the motto, service before self. So thank you, Ms. Zotz. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Don Jurek from Legacy Middle School, who's here tonight to talk a little bit about and recognize some of his students for a project, and teachers for a project that they assisted with for an instructional company that we've been using.
All right, good evening. Several years ago, when Mr. Toscano was still heading up East Central High School, he contracted out with Silence Education. It was founded by John Silence. It is one of the leaders in education right now when it comes to strategies and assisting English language learners. In an effort to continue to kind of make the system stronger, Mr. Toscano provided the staff development and professional development for his administrators on the campus of the high school and some of his teaching staff. And part of building that system that's going to help us attain the success that we want, he also branched out and talked and invited other East Central ISD principals. Mr. Damon Trainer, our principal at Legacy Middle School, who's still with us right now, went to that training, was blown away, and insisted next year that the other Legacy administrators and Legacy teachers become part of the process in a book study. The book was titled 7 Steps to a Language-Rich Interactive Classroom. And as a result of that, we went a step further at Legacy. We contracted out with Dr. Monica Latta, who had been already providing the professional development with us at the high school. And that turned into a really, really big deal for us at Legacy. She was there providing coaching opportunities for our teachers. We focused on total active participation and structured conversation in the classroom, which was really opened up a lot of doors for us. And in the process, she would come back and she would talk to me because I was kind of the administrator assistant with all that, and she would talk about how blown away she was and how excited she was, and she talked to John Silence about it, and then lo and behold, he asked to come film our campus last spring. And in the meantime, what we were doing to kind of build the program and build the system, we had a group of teachers that provided the professional development for us on the side and kind of were the behind the scenes people to assist with our success. So I'm going to ask that you stand up right now so I can recognize you as teachers. If you can stand up real quick, please. Patricia Estrada Vega, we have Miss Martha Pacheco, Miss Latrina Prince, Miss Gina Schorsch, and we've got Miss Beverly Weatherington. Now, part of the bigger deal too is we got to have our students as a part of that. This weathering tonight, this past January in Houston, we got to go be a part of this big, huge state conference, which was really, really exciting. We got to speak and present for over 250 plus educators and administrators, and at Mr. Silas's workshop, and it was titled "What's Working with ELLs in Texas: Success Stories from the Field." And the video came out great. Really felt really proud to be part of Legacy in the East Central Independent School District community. And in that, 2 students, right, were highlighted in the video. And if you 2 students could please stand. All right, we've got Javier. All right, so we're gonna take a brief look. I'm on a time limit, so I'm going to give about a minute and a half of this deal, and just so you can kind of see some of the great things that were documented with us.
Great, and that goes to what are some other things located and called?
Well, I don't know what to say. I talked to my teacher.
We're talking about unit rate, and that goes to what are some other things located and called?
Well, I don't know what to say. I talked to my teacher. I have no plan. I asked a partner, my friends, or even to my teacher. I asked her, can you repeat the question for me, please? And that's how I worked myself to trying to answer the question more fast, more quickly than what I thought. They gave me the confidence to be more, to ask more questions, to answer them more correctly, and that helped me to be my best every time. No matter what, I will do my best.
I like to give my students an opportunity to talk with their partners for several reasons. Number one, it gets them talking about their math. Number two, it gives them an opportunity to listen to what other people are thinking, other ideas, because so many times I'll have a student say, oh, I knew that, but I forgot. Or, oh, I didn't think about it that way, that's a good idea. And so to hear those conversations on a daily basis it's really inspiring, because you know that they're having an actual, accountable, and valuable conversations.
I like hearing other people's opinions. Kind of makes me think of another opinion from by myself.
I like talking to my classmates because they explain me how to do it. They're very friendly with me, and they know what's my problem and how to solve it.
All right, that's just a brief snippet, all right, and what we're gonna have is I've got copies of the full 15, 16-minute version for all the board members. I'd like to thank Mr. Toscano and the Central ISD Board for allowing us to continue to work with science education and help us become better in the classroom. So thank you very much. If you guys want to teachers and students.
Thank you very much for that. And now, as promised, we're going to take a about 10-minute recess. We'll meet back here at 7:10. That will give everybody the opportunity who needs to scoot on out of here and a chance to get home. Thank you very much. Good
I don't. He works for a company in one of them is hopefully you'll get the friends and family discount. Oh yeah. Use those when you got them. Yeah. Yeah, we pulled up. I already told him the brakes don't work. There's plenty of shoots going on in addition to that. The driver's car, I was on South Park. Yeah, and driving the passenger side, I seen him drive around the parking lot. He goes on the street and gets on the access road. You know, Stevie told me I had to dress to impress. So I tried to dress to impress. Well, and it's a natural song if you cut it right, you get by. Yeah, that's what he goes, so did you funky? No, it didn't stop and that pressure. Yeah, you can talk build up a little bit of pressure enough so you can stop. You just ready to stop really quick, so you got time to talk. That's what I hadn't tried that. I just pushed the brakes like I normally do and it didn't stop. For you, that day didn't work. Yeah.
Everyone here is signed up for public comments, so we're going to move into item 5 on our agenda, Superintendent's Report, beginning with upcoming events.
Trustees, in your packet, you have your calendar for the next remainder of February as well as the month of March. Ms. Otts is playing with some templates. She wants to try and make this her own, and I do have a request, Ms. Otts. Mr. Mulkey does like the little clip art. He likes the warm fuzzy, so if you could attach some of those things to the events, especially the holidays, we would definitely appreciate that. So in February, on the 27th, we have our Foundation Gala, again, that being in Floresville at the Event Center from 6 to 11. If any of you need any additional tickets, let my office know and we'll take care of that for you. Moving on into March, a couple of big community events that I want to point out to you. On Thursday, March 3rd, is the Heroes for Health Day. You'll recall last year that's a citywide event. Many of you were able to go to some of the local elementaries in your district there and participate, maybe have a push-up contest with some third graders. I think Mr. Massengill was pretty proud that he won one last year. But we took it to another level this year. Staff really cranked it up, and we have a Heroes for Health Fair at the high school from 9 a.m. to 1 on the 5th, Saturday the 5th. There's over 50 vendors, there's blood donation, there's a walk with the principal. Principal's in the room, by the way. You're being announced in flights with your students. So hopefully you have plenty of students there and you're not walking alone. So that's just a little fair warning for you. There's a ton of events, and so that flyer's on the website, on our Facebook page, Twitter feed, etc. We're expecting several hundred, and that's probably conservative, several hundred community members to be out for that event, really big event for us. And then, of course, on the 12th, the Sarah Stry Scholarship Fundraiser, as we've come to know the last several years, that's been a really great fundraiser that's directly benefited students who graduate from East Central High School with scholarships for their continuing education. So that's their annual fundraiser event. And then finally, the week of the 14th is spring break. Good Friday on the 25th and our next regularly scheduled meeting on the 24th. If you have any additional feedback regarding the calendar, send that my way and we'll make sure that we get that in a format that's acceptable to you. We won't confide.
Personnel report.
Trustees, this month's report's on page 10, your electronic packet. Again, very limited activity in the personnel department, although we did have some mid-year retirements, most of which you're familiar with. So the report reflects those mid-year retirements for this year.
And Technology Department report.
Mr. President, I'd like to call our Director of Technology, Mr. Miguel Gulen, up to the microphone. We've been working really hard the last couple of years to really format our goals in a more uniform way and align those with the board goal performance objectives. We're pretty proud of the direction that we've moved. So we've also decided to include our directors in the presentation of the goal updates. And so Mr. Gulen gets to be the first rattle out of the cage and set the standard for those that follow. So I'm sure you will disappoint. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Toscano, Mr. Bryan, and school board members. It's also a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight, sharing some of the things that we're very proud of and grateful for. As you can see in the slideshow presentation behind you, there's a few items that I just want to quickly highlight and thank the school board for your support. As you can see, this has been a landmark year. The district's first network operations center, which is really the heart of our network. And then over the last few years, new computer labs and classrooms, equipment has been a significant investment as we've removed obsolete equipment and put in new equipment. And then enhancing the district's network infrastructure with E-rate funding. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. So we have 5 goals that we want to quickly touch on. Goal number 5 included the district will install and maintain wireless access in 100% of district classrooms while using E-rate and local funding. And that is an incredible investment in our schools and in our staff and of course students and community. And we have received all the E-rate funded equipment, and we are preparing now to deploy it. And that's really important. We have seen tremendous growth over the last few years. Just to give you an idea, back in the summer of 2012 when I came on board, we had 64 megabit connections. That's sort of like a very small pipe, maybe a straw, I think it might have felt like, to end users. But that has increased to 1 gigabit. And you know what? Growth has matched that, and we are now using 70% on slow days of that 1 gigabit pipe. So I just had water pipes break at home, and I'm always astonished about how much water goes through a very small pipe. We have a lot of information and ideas that are being accessed over the internet, and it's only increasing. And you'll see why in just a moment as we talk a little bit about what kinds of equipment are finding our way into the hands of students and staff. Goal 4, provide 48-hour turnaround of campus work requests. When you grow fast, you have to run to keep up. And certainly this idea of running to keep up and install equipment, not only in classrooms, in offices, but also in sort of the places where you don't look, the boxes and wires and closets and everywhere else. Just to give you an idea, the CIP Learning with Technology initiative, which aligns all campus technology purchases that are funded, that just involved 1,018 pieces of equipment. Of those, about a significant portion were Chromebooks, and as well as iPads and Windows computers and more. Goal 3, implement and frequently monitor increased safeguarding of sensitive data, digital and paper at the district. I just asked how many of you may have heard on the news recently about ransomware and how we've seen hackers from other places manage to get into sensitive data and sort of take control of it. Well, it's important that we increase staff and student awareness as part of our digital citizenship program. We've created a website to facilitate professional learning, and 100% of staff in the district have gone through the digital citizenship training, as well as other professional learning opportunities online in how to protect students and protect all the data that we have access to. When you think about how much confidential, sensitive data, personally identifiable information that school districts deal with, it's incredibly important. It's critical that we safeguard those. Goal 2, support the implementation of digital tools in the classroom. In partnership with the Education Service Center, Region 20, Mr. Toscano worked and approved the use of Clarity, a survey that every staff member and student have completed. And while you can see the 2014-2015 data up there, we are looking forward to seeing how we've grown and advanced since we last completed the survey in April of this year, or excuse me, last year. And so we'll begin data gathering on February 29th, 2016, and hope to have that data by the end of the school year. Finally, goal number 1, every participating campus classroom, CIP Learning with Technology, will align their technology purchases and professional learning to support more growth in two key district initiatives, literacy and problem solving. And if we look at the campus improvement plans for every campus, we should see that alignment very clearly. I want to take a moment just to once again thank you and express how profoundly grateful I am for the changes that you've made possible with approving funding and being aware and recognizing all the complexities of technology and how it interacts and supports teaching, learning, and reading. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I was just curious, on one of your slides, it said 61.2% Chromebooks. I was curious, and it's 17.9% iPads. I was curious, you probably touched on it, but where are those Chromebooks primarily, and where are those iPads primarily? And will we be receiving more iPads? Are we looking to go somewhere with that higher?
So the Chromebooks, all the items that are deployed as part of the CIP Learning with Technology are deployed in classrooms for student use. No, they're actually all in classrooms. So we'll see Chromebooks out there. They'll be available in carts. When I had the opportunity to walk through some campuses, I believe Legacy Middle School, they were using them to support their writing initiatives in two of the classrooms. I was also at Heritage, and they were also using Chromebooks to support just-in-time writing. And it's amazing to walk into a classroom and see students who want to publish their writing online begin to do that and take advantage of Google Apps for Education and Google Docs and post information. In regards to the iPads, we continue to see iPads finding their way into classrooms, as well as teacher tools. Rather than focusing on one particular mobile device, we really see that there's different devices that meet different needs. So, writing classroom Chromebooks are wonderful, and they're great for older kids. And older kids also require those for iPads for video editing and doing some of the video captures and that you can't necessarily do with a Chromebook.
That's great. That's good information. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. All right, moving on to agenda item 6, our action agenda. Item A is 2016-2017 district calendar.
Trustees, before Ms. Hertz presents the calendar for next year for your consideration, just want to say a couple of things about it. First and foremost, we had to take several things into consideration this year. The first of which was House Bill 2610, which changed the law from a school calendar having to be 180 days to 75,600 minutes. So what that meant was we had to do a school-based study. You'll recall too from our workplace dynamics survey last year that a lot of staff talked about, particularly at the earlier grade levels, the school day being too long. and the kids were exhausted as well as staff. And so we did survey the community as well during that time period, and I'll share later with you a little more about that and what the community said and what we're proposing as a result. In addition to that, we had to pay attention to the professional development and data review days that we built into the calendar last year. Last year we had to have waivers to do that. This year, because of the new legislation, you don't necessarily need those waivers provided that you meet the instructional minutes in your calendar. When Ms. Hertz talks about it in a minute, you'll notice that on the calendar, we actually have to publish by law now the number of instructional minutes at each level. And so that's also on the calendar. So with that, Ms. Hertz, if you would present the calendar to the board.
Good evening. So you can tell from what Mr. Toscano was just telling you, there were quite a bit went into putting the calendar together. It was a little bit different going by minutes instead of by days. But there are several similarities between this year's calendar and the one we're proposing for next year. If you'll notice in your packet, the first day of school, very similar to this year, that's dictated by law. It's the fourth Monday in August. And then we're ending next year right at the end of the first part of the first week of June. So all of that's very similar. Thanksgiving is a full week. Christmas break is very similar. In March we have spring break. We do check area colleges, universities, other school districts to make sure we're in alignment. So spring break, very much the same. You will notice that there are still a couple of bad weather days on there. It's highly unlikely we would have to use them because we actually have a cushion of minutes in the schedule. So we would have to have several days off to actually need to use those bad weather days, but we do have them on there. So all of those things are very similar this year's calendar to next year's. Where the big difference is, as Mr. Toscano mentioned regarding waiver days for staff development, with that, we just have to make sure that we have the number of minutes in the calendar, not necessarily days. So what we are wanting to do is move from the 12 professional development days that we had this year to 13. But then we're wanting to cut back on early release days. We had 9 early release days this year. We want to move back to 6 early release days. So we're kind of trading in 3 early release days for a full day of in-service. Staff felt like it's easier to do planning, and that particular one is for planning in May for the following year if they have a full day of in-service. So we kind of switched those out. So the calendar for next year shows 6 early releases, which, by the way, those we do still have to have a waiver on because there's another part of the law that says you have to have a 7-hour school day, and that waiver you approved in January. So it's the 6 early releases, and then there are actually 13 professional development days. Some of them are for training, some for planning, some for data review. And so if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Any questions for Ms. Hertz?
I do have a question. Is nap time in kindergarten instructional minutes?
No, you start from the beginning of the day till the end. You don't have to take out for lunch or any sort of breaks or intercessions.
Going back to kindergarten. All right.
Trustees, I recommend board approval of the 2015-2016 district calendar as presented.
We have a recommendation by the superintendent on the 2016-2017 district calendar. Chair will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Ms. Barrientos to accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Ms. Brazil. Any questions, comments? If not, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item B, budget amendment, local maintenance.
Trustees, I'll have Mr. Selby talk to you about the details of the amendment, but what it's for band uniforms. And just to give you a little background, band uniforms are obviously a very big expense. Band uniforms typically last between 8 to 10 years. Last year we started to talk about whether it was going to be time last year or this year. The majority of the core majority of the band uniforms are going to be 8 years old this year. And so we decided that it was an optimal period of time to do it. Next year is a contest year, so by getting uniforms this year, they would be able to use them for contest and band, marching contests as every other year, a state qualifying contest. And so in addition to that, as you know, last year we transitioned from one band director to a new band director, and so obviously, as with any group or team, you always want the director to have an opportunity to have input on uniforms, particularly if they're going to be married to them for 8 to 10 years. So given that, Mr. Selby, if you would present that budget amendment to the board, please.
Yes, Mr. Toscano, board members, what you're considering this evening on this agenda item is to take $214,000 out of fund balance to provide the appropriations needed to pay for the new band uniforms. We went through a delivery method of using interlocal agreements and through the buy board to get proposals on these. We had 2 proposals. We had evaluation using a matrix that we traditionally use, and we chose a vendor that has a long experience with providing those band uniforms and meet the needs of the district. But tonight, what you're basically doing is just saying it's okay to pay for that out of fund balance because we don't have enough money in the budget to do that. And if you don't agree to that, then we won't be getting those band uniforms. I don't want to get too technical.
So you're going to tell me that if we don't buy new band uniforms, we're going to have 400 kids marching in their skivvies? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, no, we'll just have we have the old band uniforms.
Well,
No pressure, guys.
I'm not sure about those, and, okay. All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Sullivan?
Mr. Sheldon, what do we do with the old uniforms?
Good question. We are able to either put those out for sale to other areas, or we just can't give them away because of the way the rules are by state law. So we sometimes we will get a fairly an opportunity to provide some really needy area of this country with a very minimal cost. We may not have great. Most local bands aren't going to buy it wholly. But sometimes a district in New Mexico or somewhere like that is very impoverished. We'd be glad to have it. But we certainly don't make money off it.
No, we're not throwing away.
No, sir.
Okay.
We're thinking about that in council.
If we have a bid from a school district that needs band uniforms and a bid from a rag supplier, we go with the school district. Is that a
We'd rather help support another school district.
Great. That answer your question, Ken?
Let me ask you one more question. This amount, exactly how many uniforms would this amount pay for?
I believe it's 450.
450, okay. I think 450.
All right.
These uniforms, a couple of things that we decided on was these uniforms, unlike our current uniforms that are dry clean only, these are machine wash and dry clean. They're also adjustable and don't require the tailoring that our previous uniforms utilized. And we felt like they maintained the same general design that we like, our colors, our mascots, etc. But they also have a little modern twist. So taken together, we felt like it was a good value and a good decision by the students that were involved, the parents that were involved, and the director in the process that they utilized. So.
Any other questions? All right.
I recommend board approval of the budget amendment number 15-16-02, local maintenance as presented.
All right, we have a recommendation to accept the budget amendment for band uniforms. Chair will entertain a motion. So moved. We have a motion by Mr. Mulkey. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Presses. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Does any board member wish to have an item pulled from the consent agenda? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. Have a motion by Mr. Barrientos. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Mr. Mulkey. The consent agenda is approved via unanimous consent. All right. At this time, the Board of Trustees on February the 18th, 2016, beginning at 7:32 p.m., convened in a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and 551.074, personnel matters. Thank you.
Every administrator stay. You're welcome to stay. I know you want to.
It looks sassy.